right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Zoom call. We've got the, according to him, infamous Vernon Wells. We've got the lovely NATASHA Coppola-SHALOM and CJ Dunning, who is, both these ladies are amazing to have on here. And I'm Darren Boylen. I'll be your host for today. Mr. Vernon Wells, you're an icon in the world action cinema as the villain in some of the best films ever. The Road Warrior and Commando, just to name a few. What's the favorite role you've ever played?
Well, apart from the fact I don't consider myself an icon, I consider myself a very lucky actor. But strangely enough, I consider one of the best roles I've ever done was in a tiny little film I did about 15 odd years ago called Circle Man, which was a boxing movie about a retarded boxer. And I just loved it to death. And it played all over Europe. Apparently made quite a lot of money, and they didn't want to waste their money by releasing it in America because they knew they couldn't get it into the cinemas. So it's one of those movies that you really have to go dig through the shit to find. But it's actually quite a nice movie. But I guess everybody looks at me and thinks that I would say Road Warrior or Commando. I think the most torturous film I ever did was Road Warrior. It was the first film I ever did in my life, and so much rested on mine and Mel's shoulders that it was terrifying. I had a lot of fun doing it. And Commando, once again, Commando I got after it was cast and they'd started shooting for 5 weeks. The gentleman that was playing the role I ended up playing was apparently, in Arnold's eyes and perception, wasn't big enough to look like he could beat him at anything. So they changed their direction 5 weeks into shooting, and I got my butt dragged back to America to do the role. So I guess they are two of the roles that stick out in my mind. But if you're asking me a role that I really enjoyed, it is Circle Man.
Okay, brilliant. I will have to look at it next time I'm in Europe. I might be able to find it when I'm in Scotland. NATASHA Coppola-SHALOM. Is it Shalom or Shalom?
Shalom.
Shalom, okay. Obviously, you have a famous name injected in there. So what piqued your interest to pursue a career as an actress?
Oh gosh, I've wanted to be an actress since I was 3 years old. It was, for me, it was never a choice. It was immediately just always felt like what I was born to do.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of that simple. I mean, the thing I love most about acting is just the excavation of the human condition. Okay. You know, the empathy that requires, and just learning different people and putting yourself in different people's shoes, and understanding the human soul in a very unique and detailed way. That's it. It's just learning different people and being able to empathize with them.
Okay.
That's what I love about it and what keeps me going.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Tell us about your acting career. When and where did you start?
Yeah, so really the bulk of it was with the WWE. You know, they put you through some extensive acting coaching. I worked with Howard Fine's assistant during that. And so it was a great entrance into this whole realm. I didn't think that I would love it even so much, even outside of the ring, maybe even more so than in the ring. But it's an integral part of wrestling. So, and I've just fallen absolutely in love with it as an art.
Okay, excellent. Mr. Wells, was there a person who was pivotal or instrumental in helping you start your acting career?
Yeah, it was called a car wreck.
Interesting. Can you details?
I was working. My mother was a very successful songwriter in Australia, and I sort of followed in her footsteps by becoming lead vocalist in quite a few big bands. And I was in the band truck at one stage, and it was raining, and we came over a hill, and a car in front of us had stopped. And it was one of these cars back then that had the 3 rows of seats, but the rear row of seats faced backwards. So there were 3 kids in that seat looking straight at me. And we pulled up behind them, but I heard a little bit of a squeal, and I looked out the into the rear vision side mirror, and I saw this car had come over the hill very fast, put on their brakes, and it started to skid down the hill at us.
Oh,
And I figured that if they hit me, I'd hit the car, the kids wouldn't live. So I spun the wheel of the car and put my foot on the accelerator to try to get across the road away
Right.
from it. And the car slammed into me before I got, and I took the car and my car, and we went slamming into a pole. And I compressed 3 discs in my back.
oh,
So I was pretty much screwed up for quite a long time. They wanted to put a steel rod down my back, to which I said, stick it where the monkey stuck his peanuts.
right.
I was not having a steel rod in my back. And they said I'd probably never walk again. So I proved them wrong.
Indeed.
But of course, I have a lot of aches and pains because of it, but that's neither here nor there. And from that, I became a real pain in the posterior to our manager. And he wanted to get rid of me. So he took all my photographs around to modeling agencies. And one of them was silly enough to say, hey, we're looking for someone that can ride horses and do all kinds of strange things to do a series of cigarette commercials. Well, I owned my own horse, which was a Palomino, beautiful.
Huh?
So I got the job.
Right.
And then I figured out I was making all this money and I didn't have to share it with 6 other people. And so I thought, well, this is pretty cool. I don't have to do a lot and I get paid a lot. I'll do this. This will be fun, which lasted about 4 months till I got bored shitless and decided that I would actually get out of being a model. And the lady who had cast me in that series of commercials became my mentor. She was probably in her 60s. And because my parents didn't live in the city where I was, they lived way up in the country where our property was, she became a surrogate mother. And when we first got asked, I did a stage play which became a big hit, and George Miller's girlfriend saw it. She told George he should come see me. The reason being is that within 3 minutes of being on stage, I was stark naked masturbating. So I guess that kind of intrigued a lot of people. Not me. I was not very intrigued by it.
Okay.
I just had to do it. And from that, George cast me in Road Warrior. And I really never envisioned myself as an actor, ever. I did Road Warrior because it was there and I thought, oh, this will be fun. And like I said originally, it was a torturous experience in the fact that I was scared all the time of what I was doing because I was so afraid of screwing up. So when Road Warrior finished, I actually went into directing commercials and things because I loved being behind the camera, a little bit like Jimmy. I saw myself behind the camera. It was so much fun. And unfortunately, other people had different ideas. And then, you know, I got brought to America and I didn't want to come. And my lovely agent in Australia convinced me to come by threatening my life. And while I was on the plane, she gave me a letter as I left. And she said, when you get on the plane, read this. And I thought it was her saying, you know, do well, do good, do all this other shit. And when I didn't even think about it, halfway across to America, I suddenly remembered I had this letter in my coat pocket. And I took it out and it said, Dear Vernon, for the last 13 years, I've had the privilege of managing one of the most talented human beings I know. I adore you. You have ended my career on a high note. I will not be here when you get back. Goodbye.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow.
She retired. Didn't tell me where she went.
Wow.
So she was probably the main instigator in what came later, the whole rest of my career. So, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Interesting story.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Similar kind of question to you, Natasha. Was your family influential in your decision to become an actor?
Not at all. They had nothing to do with it. Yeah, short answer, no.
Okay.
It was, yeah, completely my own decision.
I mean, did you know, like, at 3
No.
when you wanted to be an
So
actor?
sorry, I didn't know. I should just tell the story. Sorry. So growing up, my parents wanted me to get to know my family as family, not as kind of anyone in the industry or famous. So I had no idea who any of my family members were. I wasn't allowed to see any of the movies. Like, I didn't see The Godfather until I was 20. So I decided on my own that I wanted to be an actor before I even knew that my family had anything to do with the industry. So I found out when I was maybe like 12, 13, 14 that who my family was. But it was because I just developed relationships with them as my aunts and uncles and cousins, and that's that, which is great and still how I see them. And so no, they had nothing to do with it. It was just me. Yeah. But I think too, like my mom's an actress. My stepdad, he's a disc jockey, but he also does some acting. And I think when you grow up in a home where you're surrounded by just artistic people, then it makes sense that you're drawn to that. So perhaps
it's just in the blood.
Perhaps subconsciously, you know, but not consciously, you know.
Okay, fair enough. So CJ, tell us about your WWE career as a WWE diva.
Yeah, you know, it was random. I had a friend of a friend that kind of scouted me through bodybuilding competitions. And the first time it was mentioned to me, I kind of laughed it off thinking, you know, wrestling, that's kind of crazy. That was around the time where Total Divas had really sparked. And so I really was kind of familiar with it just because of the popularity. Didn't grow up watching wrestling or anything like that. So I went out for a tryout and wound up making the team, and it was totally by surprise and wound up falling in love with the sport right away. So I moved my life out to Orlando, and I wrestled with NXT for like somewhere around 6 to 8 months, something like that. So it was awesome. It was a great experience. Again, it's kind of what helped me to fall in love with that and acting, and kind of catapult that whole madness there. Yeah.
Excellent. So Vernon, tell us about your role in the initiation, and I guess subsequently the Dead Rose, and how will that segue into the War of Powers series?
Cyprus is a man possessed in reality and in just his ability. I come into this, really it's an introduction to the character in the first film, so that we know who he is and what he does. And from that, I go into the Dead Rose, and it becomes more about him. And my whole thing is finding that dagger, because the only thing that can destroy me is that dagger. And my whole wish is to become the ruler of man. And I am basically, I guess, a sycophant of the devil in his own way. And in the series, which is based around the 9, I run the one group which is the most powerful, and I wish to control the whole 9. And the only way I can do that is to control the dagger. So the series is really about this, trying to discover and retain the dagger so that I can become who I am destined to become, which is the Almighty in his own way, except from the other side of the equation.
Excellent. Sounds like a big set of shoes to try to fill.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Excellent. Natasha, do you have any actors or filmmakers that you really like or really want to emulate?
Oh, what an interesting question.
Yeah.
I like a lot of the old English actors. Like Imelda Staunton is my favorite actress. I think she's incredible. I love Jeffrey Rush. Of course, Maggie Smith. There's this movie where she played a vagabond.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what movie I'm talking about?
I do know what movie. The name escapes me.
That. Yeah. Do you remember what it's called?
I do not. The name is escaping me.
But
I love Dame Maggie Smith.
I love that she's so poised in most of what she does, and then all of a sudden she plays this crazy lady living in a bus, and she is miraculous, amazing. So but I think part of what I love about just the older English actors is, one, the training, but the longevity of their careers.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see that here too, but you know, these careers that start, you know, as ducklings right out of drama school, and they'll work their whole lives, and they just, the growth of the wealth of characters they do. So yeah, I like a lot of just those older actors, and Jim Broadbent I love. So I just hope to have a career like that. You know, obviously I'm not there yet, so
Right.
I'm not emulating that sort of brilliance anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, those are the people I really admire. Tremendous.
Okay. Is there one in particular who like really influenced you or has had an influence in your career, or maybe some of the roles or methodologies that you take towards a character?
No, a lot of the methodologies I use when working come from drama school. So I did study in England actually, and that's where like the base of my training is. But that's kind of where I got, you know, drama school and different classes I've taken, and that's where the basis of how I work comes from, not so much any particular actor. But I do love like Meisner. I love, he's not, you know,
Right.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, and I will say I love Natalie Portman. I think she's inspired me a lot. But yeah, I don't think I based my acting off of actors and how they work, but more kind of what I've learned. And if people I'm working with kind of drop nuggets, then I'll learn a lot from people that I work with. I feel like I learn a lot from just being on set and watching people work and watching how people work and seeing what their script looks like and seeing what it is that they do, people that I admire.
Right.
So yeah.
Excellent. So CJ, how does your acting talent weave into your character as a wrestler, or vice versa?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I've found some synchrony with my wrestling gimmick, as well as kind of in real life, as well as in a lot of these series as well. Just kind of being my natural self, but also, you know, kind of combating evil. And that's my wrestling gimmick as well, you know, has been a darker look, but someone who is kind of the up and comer or the least expected or kind of out of nowhere or always having to prove myself. So, and then just, you know, again, battling the evil girls in the ring, battling evil in the ring, and then the same in this series. So really it's not as much of acting as it's who I've really become in real life. So it's been not easier that way, but it's a more comfortable fit.
Okay. Excellent. Did you ever get to wrestle Stephanie McMahon?
No, no, I didn't. No.
Okay. So Vernon, do you have a favorite role model, past or present, in the industry?
I have a lot of people that I really adore in the industry. I wouldn't say I have a role model. I've always tried very hard to be myself. It's the way I act, the way I create characters is I base them on what I feel about what they're doing and how I would handle it, how I would approach it, and what would be the outcome of that, so that I can embody the character. So I don't really, but if you ask me the actors that I most love, Sean Connery, I thought was just amazing as James Bond. He was one actor that I used to love to sit and watch, simply because the one thing about Sean was every time he got a woman, you had to think to yourself, I know he's taken her home to screw her, but is she going to live the night? And I thought that was the brilliance of his character, is that you never knew. And when you think about it, the whole James Bond series, James Bond was a murderer. I mean, he was nothing less. He killed people, period.
Right.
So but he portrayed it with this amazing wit and knowledge, and there's just this sexuality that sort of bit you from the screen. It was just, and I love that. That's kind of where I like being, is that when you do something that is just horrific, people don't look at it that. They look at you and they go, that was cool. You know, that little bit where you had that, you go, I just killed 7 people, you dumb shit. Why are you saying I'm so nice? But it's just the way you put it out there, the way you control the atmosphere around yourself. And that's what I love, more than saying, oh, I love this actor or that actor. I love watching people whom I consider to be better than myself, and that would include every actor that's ever lived. So I enjoy watching those around me because, like our lovely Natasha, every time I'm on set, I watch everybody, because in my mind, actors are voyeurs. We watch everything. I go to a restaurant, believe it or not, I'll watch the people sitting at tables around me to watch how they interact, because sometimes, somewhere, you'll come up with something and you go, oh, God, remember when I was out at dinner, this happened. So you can use that. So I think more than anything, I just love the business and love to go into it with no expectations. Just do what I do it to the best of my ability, and thank God that all those that came before me were able to show me the way.
Excellent. Natasha, tell us about your role in Last Call.
My role, so I have 3 lines in Last Call, but they were with Jeremy Piven, who was lovely to work with, and I worked with this wonderful actor, Royce Johnson. Also, I play a businesswoman. Her name is Molly. She plays Bocce. She answers the phone, and she goes to a funeral in a place where she is highly uncomfortable. That's my role in Last Call, but it was fun, and it was awesome to be on set, and just the whole cast and crew were so lovely. It was wonderful to be a part of that production.
Okay. How'd you end up getting that role?
So one of the producers I had worked with on a film before, a film called Rich Boy, Rich Girl, and he reached out to me and offered me the part.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. CJ.
Yes.
Tell us about your character, Roxy.
Yeah, so here again, Roxy isn't too far off of who I really am. It's a comfortable fit, but she is kind of finding herself intertwined with some of the evil side, kind of a mixture of both, but also battling that evil. There's a scene where it's a straight gun pointed at a demon, so it's kind of combating that sense. But yeah, a little action in there as well. So it wasn't hard at all to act as Roxy. Honestly, I mean, even some of the lines were suiting with things that I would say, about frat boys and things like that. So it's a great role. I'm really excited about Roxy.
Yeah, the frat boy.
Yeah, that's so me.
Nice. Vernon. Can you tell us how your iconic yell came about? And was it first deployed by you when you played Wes in The Road Warrior?
It was kind of developed on stage when I was singing, because I have a big voice and I used to use it a lot. On Road Warrior, it was the thing that it was funny because it was never in the script, and it was not something that George specifically said, I want you to do. It was just that it came about. And I think it was more the fact that I was freezing continuously, and every time I touched anything metal, I stuck to it. So they spent most of their time unsticking me. And I think that kind of influenced my whole perception of what I was doing. So the yell was more of a giant release of frustration at times. But it came about mostly because I had built a character. Like Wes, to me, I was always taught that the villain is never the villain. The villain is the good guy. The good guy is the villain trying to stop the villain from doing what the villain thinks he should be doing. Therefore, he becomes the villain becomes the good guy. That's how I was taught to look at it. And when you look at it from that perspective, at no time do you consider yourself to be evil. You consider yourself to be someone trying to achieve something with whatever means are at your disposal. And if Mel Gibson or whoever it is trying to stop you, then he is the villain, because he's trying to stop you from doing something that you perceive to be the right thing. So looking at it from that perspective, the yell just became this kind of challenge to Mel and to all around me every time I just let it go. And George loved it.
It was brilliant. That series is one of my personal favorites.
Yeah, I liked it, except for the cold bum I got because it was so cold. I had no clothes on, damn it.
So Natasha, Tell us about your role as Lisa in the upcoming feature film, The Dead Rose.
So Elisa is apparently in the trilogy that The Dead Rose will be. But in Dead Rose, she's a smaller part. So I actually don't know a tremendous amount about her, but she has some really cool emotional scenes. She is emotionally available. She is very perceptive. She appears to be one of the love interests of the lead character, but to be seen. And yeah, she works at the hospital, and that's about the extent that I know of her so far, because I've only read the Dead Rose script, so I'm really looking forward to learning more. But what Jimmy's told me is pretty, am I allowed to say that A word? Bad A? Bad
You can say badass.
So we will see, and I will let you know when we have more information, but I also don't know how much we want to give away. So
Okay.
That's what we know of her in this.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So CJ, you're quite passionate about your views and activism with helping find lost children. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So we've just had a miraculous foundation come up. So we've initiated a 501c3 nonprofit called Our Town. So it's going to cover anything from disabled children all the way to the scary, scary depths of trafficking. And I've been building a strategy to act proactively against trafficking, which has been the runaway space, which is pretty neglected with law enforcement. So the ability to get the community involved where it may have been neglected, for example, if they don't issue an Amber Alert or anything like that, we step in to find the resources to help these families in need that are experiencing a missing child. But it's expanded all the way to the disabilities realm. And so we're really looking forward to expanding and becoming more involved in all communities within the U.S.
Okay, excellent. And you have a new movement called Under Siege?
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of been the branding that's worked. Under Siege means surrounded by soldiers. And so my good friend Tommy actually was like, you know, you should use that as your wrestling name. Like, and then it's kind of a spin off The Undertaker, right? Mm-hmm. So it's become this branding for myself, I guess, a real-time gimmick where I'm taking it to the football field as well as in the wrestling ring. And now it's become the brand behind this operation to get involved to help kiddos and families in need. So we'll have some Under Siege jerseys soon, and it's kind of supportive of wherever I may be. But yeah, again, it's my real life gimmick now.
Excellent. Vernon.
Yes.
If you had a chance to go back and meet your younger self, what would you tell him in regards to pursuing the acting career? Is there anything you would warn him about or tell him to do different?
Yeah. Get a life. I think that I would, truthfully, if I went back in time and I could meet myself as a younger person, I think that I would tell him to get a pair, because most of my problem with coming into acting later was because I was gutless. I wasn't brave enough to take the initial step, to step off the boat. You know, I wanted to stay on it where I was safe with everybody else. Mm. So I think I would tell him that, hey, dude, you know, just get out there, drop the crap, and do it. The whole thing is you've got to get out there and do it. If you don't do it, you don't know what it's going to be like. I mean, it's one of those things. So that's exactly what I would tell him. And if he didn't like that, I'd say buy a ticket and watch him.
Okay. Natasha, you get a chance to act alongside the legendary Tony Todd, also known as Candyman. We really can't say Candyman too many times. Have you ever seen the movie he did with your uncle, Nicholas Cage?
Which movie?
He did a movie with...
Which one? Honestly, I haven't seen most of my family's movies still.
Okay.
For the reason that, that story I told you. But what movie is it? Because I may have seen it.
It's The Rock.
The Rock?
With Sean Connery.
Sir Sean.
Is that the one in Alcatraz?
Alcatraz, yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen that one. Yes, I have seen it. And I loved that movie.
Awesome.
So, yes, I've seen it.
Okay. Are you excited to work with him?
Yeah, of course.
He is the man, the myth, the legend. CJ.
Yes.
Hold on, this thing just freaked out. What projects do you have on the horizon, both in film, acting, fitness, wrestling, and in your world of activism?
Oh gosh, that's a big one. Yeah, I mean, all the above. So our season for football was just canceled, so that's kind of off put till next summer.
Okay.
Wrestling is probably, it's always sporadic here and there, and I'll wrestle as much as I can when, when the crowd scene opens back up, of course, just because of the COVID regulations and stuff, it's been tough to do that. The activism stuff is absolutely on the up and up. We're planning on expanding even more. So that's been really fun. I have a great management team, mostly in California. I'm really the only one here in Denver. A couple of us, but everyone's there. So probably some traveling to do that, and then just trying to touch as many kids as we can through that. And then acting, I think we got a couple things on the horizon here coming up. I hope I'm definitely the rookie here for sure. I'm newer just with my, my wrestling experience, and now this, Jimmy has really believed in me, which means a lot to me. So he's been able to put me in some of these that maybe I don't even deserve to be in. But I'm hoping to, be the up and comer, the underdog.
Awesome. Well, I've seen your work over the last year, and you're definitely making us proud.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm sure Jimmy will agree.
Oh, yeah, no, she's doing great.
Yeah.
She's a natural.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Apparently you have a great relationship with wolves.
Yes, large animals that like to bite. No, I have
everything in Australia.
No, they're not in Australia. They're here.
No, I meant large animals that like to bite.
Oh, there's lots of them in Australia. Yeah, most of them are female. But moving on. The wolves is something that is very near and dear to me. When I first came to America and I was going around, the government, believe it or not, contacted me and asked me if I would go to the Indian nation and talk to the kids and try to convince them that there was a world out there that they could actually succeed in regardless. And their reasoning being that I was one person against 360 million in my career. And every day I had to compete against over 100,000 people to get a role. So they figured that might be something I could show them. And because of that, I got inducted into the Choctaw, Cheyenne, Arapaho Nation, which means that I am actually on the books as being inducted into an Indian nation. First time in 120 years they'd inducted a white man. But when they do that, you do the sweat lodge, and how they do it, they say to you, when you walk out of the sweat lodge, the first animal you hear is your spirit guide. And I walked out of the sweat lodge, and the first animal I heard was a wolf howling.
Awesome.
Now, where we were, there hadn't been any wolves for over 100 years. But I heard clearly this wolf howling, and I said it to the person that was with me doing all of the direction for what I was doing. I said, I heard a wolf. And he said, that is your spirit guide. I said, but there's no wolves. How would I, I'm thinking that I'm so stoned or something that it really doesn't matter. But it had nothing to do with that. It was what your mind interpreted. And from that, I kind of never really went out to get into wolves or anything. But I was doing a health thing where I was doing cupping. And the young lady doing the cupping happened to be talking to me while she was doing it. And she said, you like wolves? Why this came up, I have no idea. And I said, I can't say I like them or dislike them. And I explained to her about the wolf being my spirit guide. And she said, oh, you should come up to the ranch. We have a rescue for wolves and wolf dogs. And they'd probably love to let you come up and walk with one of the wolves, which is what I did.
Okay.
Doing that, I talked to a couple of friends of mine and said, you'll never guess what I'm doing. And Paula said to me, you'll never guess what happened to us. And I'm like, okay, you're a female, you tell me first. Some guy had walked into the bar where she was a barmaid and had said, you need to come up to look at the wolves that we've got up at this wolf rescue. And she said, so what have you got? And I said, nothing. It was exactly the same thing as I was going to tell her. So it became this circle, and her and her husband split off from the original and formed a group called Apex Protection, which they have at the moment 12 wolves and 6 little ones that are like this big that were rescued 2 weeks ago, which they're hand rearing. And I became involved, and my wife became involved, because I love kids and animals, because to me they're the two things that can't protect themselves. Kids need to be protected because they don't have the ability to protect themselves. Animals are in the same boat. They have no way of communicating to you. They don't want to hurt you or anything else. So we need to learn that we don't have to go out and shoot first and go, oh, later. It's a little bit, too late then. And wolves to me are one of the most amazing animals to be around. And just a quickly one, all of human society came from watching wolves. When we first came out of the trees and watched the animals around us, the first animal to come to man was a wolf. And all of the wolf, the way they have their society, that they always look after the old, the young, the infirm. They will feed them, they will keep them. That's what we do. We got it from watching them. Okay. We forget that a lot of who we are is based on animals of all different types, because it's one small world with a hell of a lot of people on it. And we actually, whether we like it or not, unfortunately, have to live together. And we have to make it survivable for everyone. And CJ, if you need anything from me, let me know, because I'm right up your alley, darling. I love looking out for kids because that's my thing.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's great. Thank you.
Awesome.
And Natasha, I have worked with the wonderful gentleman in question, and I did a wonderful movie with him called Jekyll and Hyde, and he played both characters. I played his best friend in it. My friend was a, believe it or not, a 1-year-old ape whom everybody said don't go near because they can rip your arms out at that age, who for some reason decided I was his best friend and would not leave me alone. He would walk around holding my little finger wherever I went. I had this animal on the end of it.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a scene in the film which is so wonderful, is the director had given me, because I was doing a speech sort of thing, and he said, I need you to do something, otherwise you'll look like a talking head. And he gave me 4 elastic bands, which I was twirling in my, you know how you do that thing with elastic bands in your fingers, and and then you pull it up. He was sitting next to me on a cage, and I was doing the scene, and I'm playing with these elastic bands, and he leant down, took them off me, and started doing the exact same thing behind my head.
That's amazing.
I left it in the film. It was so cute. And I mean, that's where I am. I'm sorry, but that's me. I can't go past it, because playing all the roles, doing the stuff that Jimmy wants me to do is my joy and passion, and I can do it very well. But
what else can we expect to see? The werewolf, watch out. Natasha.
Yes.
What else is in store for you in your future? Do you have any specific project that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so I have a film coming up called 13th Street Scare, and that is a vampire film. And I'm playing a girl who gets transformed into a vampire. And we're shooting in Romania. And the script is amazing. It's by one of my favorite writers, Cecilia Copeland. And I'm just so excited to do that and go to Romania and play a vampire. So that, and then I'm getting married in July.
Oh,
so that's taken up like all my time.
Yeah.
And I'm running the marathon in November in New York. Help me.
Wow.
What poor decision making was that?
Just remember, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. Well, that's what I tell myself every run.
Yeah.
But holy mackerel, I don't know if that was a good decision. But so yeah, that's what's in store for me. I have and I have 2 doggies at home that I'm taking care of. And I just want to say, Vernon, I love everything that you're saying about wolves and animals, and I just think they're too good for us. And yeah, you just made me so happy hearing you talk about that. So.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Awesome. So CJ, maybe in the upcoming War of Powers, you and Vernon can share a mohawk.
Yes.
I hear he looks good in a mohawk.
I don't know if you can see from the side, Vernon, but
Yeah, I know. I noticed it.
thank you. Yeah. It's, you know, professional on one side, party on the other, you know, best of both worlds.
Awesome.
But, yeah, no, that'd be great.
Excellent. Rumor has it that, you know, someone actually had a mohawk back in the day.
Nice. Mohawk's where it's at.
Yeah, I'm not bringing the pictures out.
You're not?
Maybe.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I just unpacked my costume from Road Warrior 3 days ago.
Oh,
Got to get you in that for the premiere.
You 2 chances.
yeah, you've got to bring it out.
Oh, he's going to bring it out.
Well, does it still fit?
Yes,
The
actually.
stuff I wore 30 years ago doesn't fit.
It fits.
Awesome. Congratulations on that. Natasha,
Thank you.
if I don't see you before your wedding, have a great wedding. Enjoy it.
Thank
Um,
you.
And CJ, you're not getting married, but awesome job with the activism, the work you do.
Thank you.
You know, we appreciate it. Same with you, Mr. Wells. We appreciate the work you do with our animals, especially our misunderstood wolves. Awesome. Well, again, thank you, everybody, for taking your Friday afternoon and sitting with us. And again, look forward
Thanks
to
so much.
working with everybody and seeing everybody in the future.